We're chilling. Last night was kind of goofy. Of course, you got another bomb. My God, man, you're hitting the ball well. Like, what you feeling better? Is everything like, when you're not hitting great, like, does the ball seem like it's coming in faster? Now you're kind of like, it's slowing down for you or what?
Oh my gosh, yeah. When you're not seeing the ball well, that ball looks like a little BB coming in, flying at you a million miles an hour. I mean, it just speeds up on you so much. And then when you're seeing the ball good and you're kind of sticking to your approach and really honed in on one pitch and one location, you're able to slow everything down, and that thing looks like a watermelon or a beach ball coming in at you.
Yeah, but what do you do to make that ball slow down? Like, are you meditating? Like, it's all in your head, isn't it?
A lot of it for me revolves around being in a good position to hit. And what I mean by that is loading early and then minimizing my head movement. So that's a lot of what I do to kind of slow down, like, my body and my mind. But I actually did a lot of work this offseason with a specialist, like a sports vision specialist, about like picking up release points and smooth tracking pursuit of the baseball. And we used a lot of like cool technology to really work on some things. So I think that's definitely helping me.
Did you think this type of season for you offensively was coming, though? Because we're talking 10 bombs, and this is 10 bombs in 52 games. I mean, in a third of a season. That's a lot of power for 52 games.
Well, my spring training wasn't great. I mean, I've always had confidence that I was a good hitter because I've always been able to hit, and that was pretty much how I made it to the big leagues, was being a hitter first. And then when you get to the big leagues and you're backing up Yachty, your goal isn't to go in there and hit home runs and really, be that offensive threat. You really have to work with the pitchers and make sure that when Yachty takes his day, you give the team the best chance to win from the pitching side. So I think, now that have a couple of years in the league under my belt, I feel comfortable behind the plate. I feel comfortable working with the staff, doing game reports. So now I can maybe put a little bit more focus on my offense. So I think, being able to do that and being able to relax on that offensive side is definitely helping me.
Kids, you talk about getting a couple years in the mix and, getting some more time around the block and getting comfortable. Do you think that getting more time in some of the parks you're playing in, especially in the Central, contributes to that? I know having a good backdrop and being familiar with the guys on the mound contributes to that too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember Arenado talking about this same exact thing. Might have been last year or the year before. And he was talking about once you start getting a lot of at-bats against the same pitcher, or even really the same team, you start figuring out how they want to pitch you. And then now you actually have an idea of, like, what is this pitcher's plan against me, or what is this team's plan against me? And then you're better prepared to go up there and know what pitches to lay off and what pitches to be aggressive to.
Yeah, man, I kind of felt bad for that Drew Rom and his family was up there. Like, he just couldn't. I know there was an error, and it kind of like snowballed down from there. That was a tough one. Well, my question to you is, when you hit your bomb, you're in the dugout, and somebody like spanked your ass. Like, I stole your question. I'm sorry about that, Cole. Anyway, somebody spanked you a little too hard. Because after you do something well in sports, you get a little spanking from the guys. But sometimes they get a little too aggressive, and you're like, it's like a wake-up call, and you're like, damn you, who did that?
Yeah, well, no, it wasn't that. I don't mind that. It was
the water.
Got me with a squirt of water.
Oh.
It just surprised me in my face. I was already soaking wet from sweat, and then my jersey was all wet. I was like, what the heck are we doing? But, I guess, guys are trying to have fun, even, if the game's not, going in our favor.
And who got you with the water?
I think it was Gorman.
Nolan Gorman.
I don't know if I like that, Kiz.
I'm gonna have to find him in the clubhouse today and get him with the cooler. I gotta one up him.
Yeah.
Sick the cat on.
Hit him with the baseball bat.
Just don't hit his back.
Exactly.
Put cat on.
Watch his back.
Get the mix. Tell you what, the way that you're swinging, you're having the change you've had this year, pushing forward. What does that do for you going ahead, though, going into the rest of this year? Obviously, the opportunity is still going to be there, but, how do you continue to change your focus or lock in on things to keep that type of success going?
I try to go with a pretty consistent mindset every day, whether we're 10 games up in the division or 10 games back. At the end of the day, we're playing a game, and the goal every game is to win. And so I really rest my focus with, trying to stay locked in and trying to play as hard as I can all the way through, through the finish line, because that's what my teammates deserve. That's what, the coaches deserve. That's what the fans deserve, is for every single guy to give it their all, whether we're in it or out of it, because there's too many people that put in too much hard work and people put in too much time watching this team to not get our very best. So that's kind of my motivation and my drive to keep going out there and playing hard.
And, Kiz, I know Willie caught Sunday. So I'm trying to think of the weather days recently. You were Saturday night.
Ugh.
I mean, Sunday had to just be abysmal for a catcher. Now, last night wasn't too bad, right? So just tell us, what is it like, and what's been the worst game this year if you had to catch one of those games, like a day game on Sunday, where it's just, Busch Stadium, just on fire, 100 degrees, humidity, just for a catcher has to be terrible.
Yeah, day games are definitely the worst with the direct sunlight coming in on you all day long. The toughest one I had this year, we had that real hot stretch in St. Louis, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, where it was over 100 degrees. And, I ended up catching a couple of those games when it was 102 at game time at 7 o'clock at night. So it was those games are just, extremely hot. But a lot of it is the humidity, though. The humidity just wears you out. Your uniform, last night, it wasn't that hot, but the humidity and everything added up. And my catching gear is completely soaked. Jersey, socks, everything completely soaked. I just wore my whole catching uniform and jumped in the Allegheny River.
Them crocodiles in there.
Yeah. Kids, it's Cole here. I'd risk of asking you a question that you've already been asked in a previous interview, but my question got stolen from me, so I got to risk it.
Sorry.
PNC Park's got to be one of your favorite ballparks to play in, especially being a catcher where you can see everything, the whole skyline. Is that going to be up there as one of your favorites to play in, aside from Busch Stadium, obviously?
Yeah, I always like playing at Pittsburgh. I always say that Pittsburgh is my favorite park to play in. Just because I have a lot of family from Pittsburgh, so I always have a lot of people in the stands watching me. And like you said, the backdrop is one of the best in sports, in my opinion. So, definitely this stadium is if it's not number one, other than Busch, if it's not number one, it's up at the top for me to play in, for sure.
So, Kiz, we're trying to stay positive here, man. Dakota Hudson has had a nice stretch here. Is he doing anything differently? Do you think this is sustainable? You got to think whether it's Hudson or Liberatore or Thompson, that one of those guys should have a shot for a rotation spot, we would think, next year. So what are you seeing from Dak?
Dak looks really good to me. And I think knowing Dak, knowing his personality and knowing how he likes to game plan and attack hitters, he's doing a really good job right now by not overthinking it too much. And I tell Dak all the time, I'm like, dude, you have nasty stuff. Just pound the zone. Make him hit it. And I think when he really limits kind of that self-damage of walking guys and falling behind, when he can limit that, then he's really, really good, because he's making those guys hit that nasty sinker, nasty slider combo. He's been mixing in some nice four seams in there to keep guys from diving on the sinker. So, he's got a nice mix going right now, and he certainly looks really, really good.
So Mason Wynn gets his first hit the other day, Kiz. And then, Pete Alonso, which I don't want to put you in a jam, but it's 2 outs, and he takes the ball and he chucks it in the stands at some blonde. And then he's like, what did I do? Were you guys in the dugout oh, get that back? And do you think he did that on purpose? Because I certainly do.
You know what? Funny story. I was actually down in the cage hitting, getting warmed up. And I was down there with Motter. We were both hitting. And he goes, I think Alonso just threw Mason Wynn's first hit ball in the stand. I go, dude, what are you talking about? That's insane. He would never do that. And he's like, no, I think he just did it. I'm like, well, maybe he threw maybe he had like an extra ball or something, threw a different one up in the stands, like playing a joke on win. Because, that would kind of be funny. And then sure enough, they showed the replay on the TV down in the cage, and he threw the first pitch up there. And we're like, what is he doing? And we could hear the dugout chirping Alonso. Yeah. I mean, they were letting him know for sure. But I just don't know what was going through his head. He either truly didn't know and made an honest mistake, which I don't know if I believe that. But I don't really see why he would want to do something like that on such a monumental thing. I mean, to get your first hit in the big leagues is something you'll always remember, but just a very weird thing. Very weird.
Dude, he did that on purpose. Like, come on.
The apology was too long.
Way too long.
The apology was too long. That means
Just
you're guilty.
own it.
That means you're guilty.
Just own it, dude.
Now, kids.
And they gave Wynn a standing ovation, announced that it was his debut and everything. So if you're paying attention at all, then that would have been his first hit. I mean, come on.
Yeah. That was my point as well. He's getting a standing O every time he comes up.
And who throws the ball into the stands with less than 3 outs? Like, the inning's going.
Yeah.
Now, here's the argument that we had here. Did the apology fit the crime? You send a guy a bottle of 42. That's a good tequila. Yeah. I don't sign a bat for him. I mean, I don't know. I guess maybe that's like a card. I don't know. Does the apology fit the crime? And should he apologize?
I'll put it this way. I told Mason Wynn he could have got more out of that. Mm-hmm. He could have got something more.
Could have, man. That was so bizarre. So bizarre. All right, kids, man. Listen, dude, it's always good talking to you. We'll be watching tonight. Go do your thing. Keep that bat going, man. You're fun to watch, dude.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'll see y'all next week.
And make sure they don't spank in the ass at her. All right, I'll see you, buddy. Right. Later, kids. Right on, man. See you, buddy. Andrew Knizner. What a cool cat. Hey, if he wants to get his girlfriend on, man, we'll get on and
yeah.
Because we talked to kids before.
Apparently she's a fan of the show.
I didn't want to ask him like on radio if it made him like awkward. But Jimmy said he's girl.
Because then he can't say no if you say it on there.
Yeah, it's like, well, if you don't want her coming on, it's fine. But if she wants to, like, well, if she wants to come on and call in,
just do a show.
Whatever. Like, okay. Like,
we'll all leave. We'll all leave and have the girlfriends and wives come in.
Yes!
And Cole can stay.
There it is. Oh, I don't know about that.
Young guy.
Oh,
tall.
Kate.
You hear that,
Tiffany,
Kate?
Ambitious.
Mike, Jess. And then Kiz's girl with Cole here. Ooh, God almighty. I don't know.
That's a round table.
I know. Cole's like, sign me up.
Millions will be listening.
Sign me up.
Cole's Angels. By the way, I know you guys love OPS Plus.
Yeah.
Who do you think has a higher OPS Plus? Kiz or Wilson Contreras?
Kiz, baby.
Dude,
Kiz.
Until you kind of look, like, Kiz has been hitting more bombs this year.
Yeah.
Dude, 10 bombs in 52 games. I'm not going to do the thing where you go, well, if he plays 150, that means you're going to hit 30 homers. But still, for a backup catcher to be slugging, pushing 500, that's dang good.
Tell you what, when you talk about how the moves are going to happen with the team and what all you're going to look at, Kiz keeps hitting like this. People might start calling.
Well, here's the deal. Look.
Oh, yeah.
I know the whole thing. If you want to get conspiracy theory, the whole thing.
Of course we do.
The whole thing with that Saturday when they announced that Wilson Contreras was going to be an outfielder, I don't think that happened just out of nowhere, as if they didn't have that discussion. Now, if you want to actually make a guy play a little more outfield, it's a lot easier to let him do it in the offseason. What I'm saying is, Kiz is playing and hitting at a level where now you think, well, hell, if Kiz plays half the games, I mean, Willie could catch, what, half-ish? What if Willie plays left field for 40 games? Who's going to play left field for the Cardinals next year? Who would you rather have play left field? Because let's just say Jordan Walker's in right.
Yeah.
Newt's in center. Are you trusting? To me, Dylan Carlson right now, he's a fourth outfielder. Tyler O'Neill, you can't bank on at all. Whatever you get is fine. But he's at this point, you can't pencil him in as a starter.
Yeah.
But Wilson Contreras, you still like his bat. And if you don't love him catching and Kiz is hitting, then all of a sudden you can lessen his days catching. You can DH him 30 games. All of a sudden you play him in left field for 40 games. Everything's a little better.
Or does Lars end up being in left field and you end up, like Kat said the other day, trying to get Tommy Edman to stay in the mix out there?
He had a great play last night.
Or do you put get Brendan Donovan more reps out there. I think left field's going to be all over the place, but I think might as well put Contreras in the mix. Why not?
Well, here's the other
Put
part of it.
Waino out there.
Well, that would mean,
For them to get their pitching, though, those guys aren't going to be there. If you're going to trade for a legit starter, they're going to trade either Carlson or whoever it is, whether it's Edman, Donovan. They're going to trade somebody good.
I think you got to trade up above Carlson to get something legit. I think you're going to have to. I mean, he's about to have, ankle surgery now, too? You don't know what you're getting back with that Carlson.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, you're I don't know. But, yeah, I mean, I'm not against the idea. I think that you still got a little bit of white flag involved in if you take a guy that you spent that kind of money on to be behind the plate and put him out in left field. I think you still reawaken some of the chirps that you had going on there. But I think you got to get the most you can get out of your lineup. And I still don't think there's any way that they've got the purse strings to add 3 starters and go and fix a spot in the outfield. I think you see what you got right here, unless somebody comes as a part of a trade package.
I bet you they trade for one. And that guy will be cheaper. That guy will be younger, probably arbitration-type pitcher.
I like how Kiz didn't, scurry away from the Alonso thing. He's like, dude, what are you doing?
He 100%.
There's other people that I listened to yesterday. They're like, no, they do that all the time.
Who? Who?
Well,
They
whatever.
throw the fake ball in the stands, but
People
I
I
mean,
listen to on the radio.
He 100% did that on
Yes!
purpose. You would have to be the biggest blockhead to not realize every time the kid comes to bat that he gets a freaking standing ovation.
Dude.
did they?
You knew before they had a standing ovation. You know their lineup. You know everything about everybody. What do you dude?
Did they toss at him anything? Do we see anything?
Well, he had a
else?
bomb about 8,000 feet.
That's right.
The next day.
He always hits home runs off the Cardinals.
He's good, man.
He does that. He does do that.
He is goofy.
No, he's definitely goofy.
Yeah, I like how he's like, no, dude, that's I've never seen that before in my life.
He's a
like,
meathead.
no.
He's a
Like,
straight-up
Kiz is like,
meathead.
no, he did that on purpose.
100%.
You got to clip that off and post that mug. Anyway, trade Contreras and roll with Kiz and Herrera, the all-knowing expert. Oh, the all-knowing expert was chirping Cole, too. Cole always has to find a way to, pump up somehow, the Pirates. And he said, so he had to,
Still?
Cole didn't have it because I stole his question, apparently, about getting smacked on the ass. Mm-hmm. And so Cole's like, Pirates something. And so he asked a question about how nice that stadium is. Still might have chirping. No big deal, Cole.
Here's the thing.
I don't have to
You're
pump them
obsessed with
up,
it. I'm just
but
saying.
what they did last night speaks for itself.
Oh, Bernie said that Alonso didn't do it on purpose. Really? I would figure Bernie would be. What'd Bernie say about Michael?
I want to listen to that
I'm
clip.
curious. I know you can't. I know. It's all good, baby.
Well, all I know is that it's 80 degrees in Pittsburgh right now, which must feel like heaven.
Oh, Lord.
If you were sitting here playing, if you were playing here, if this series was here, good God, you'd lose 5 pounds out there.
Dude, in St. Louis, you might need a retractable roof.
I mean,
Does anybody even
for baseball?
Does anybody bring that
we
up?
could just move the Cardinals down to the dome.
I'm serious. Oh, God. No, Maddie. Don't you think about that? Do people complain in St. Louis? I have not have it. Thank you, Cole. Retractable roof?
I don't think they any different here.
I think you got to have an open air stadium for baseball in St. Louis.
Well, you
I know
could,
it gets
you could
humid.
open it up. Is it not the same?
So you just close it just when it gets hot?
Yeah, when it rains.
I think
Just
it's more for
everywhere else.
for bad weather cities.
Today's St. Louis is a bad weather city.
But they back in the day played on Old Bush on the frickin'
Oh, my
on the turf that was probably 140 degrees.
Oh, and the material, the uniforms were like that.
Scorching it into your skin.
Full wool.
Wool.
By the way, you went to the U2 concert back in the day, right?
Yeah, I did.
At Bush?
I hated it.
Do you remember how hot it was that day?
Yeah, it was
That was a
god-awful.
night concert.
I was in a box and I hated it.
Okay. This is I'm obviously not trying to make a comparison like it's the big leagues. I was playing in an old man baseball league at the time, like a 30 and over league. We
Yeah.
played on Sundays at Wash U at about noon or 1. And I caught about 7 innings. And I honestly thought I was going to die.
Like spinning.
Dude, we're talking about by about the 5th inning, my jersey is soaked. I can barely get any juice in my legs to even get out of my squat. I would go in the dugout and sit there with just water and ice and then go back out there. Your clothes are freaking just totally, completely filled with sweat.
But it feels
so
good,
imagine Contreras on Sunday catching 9 innings, Busch Stadium,
Yeah, dude.
for 3 hours, whatever it was.
I kind of want to flush my system out one day like that. Just soaked. You're like, oh. Then you finally take a shower, you cool down, you feel good. You're like, man, I sweated all the toxins out of me.
I wonder what. So if Kiz or whoever, Contreras, catching that game, I wonder how many pounds you lose during the game?
Oh, man, that's a good question. He's already pretty cut up as it is. He's not like that big of a dude.
I'm just saying, just for the game, obviously you put it all back on once you eat and you drink water and whatnot, but just for that 3 hours, you probably lose a good amount of weight.
We was wondering that at that concert last night. I was like, how many calories does Beyonce burn during one of those shows moving around?
Is she moving around, Maddie?
Moving.
She's moving.
Yeah.
She look good?
Oh.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What's going on up there, man?
It's not good. It's not good. It's a beautiful stadium that's displaying some very, very bad baseball. And Waino goes tonight, so at least there's some curiosity if Waino can build on his last start. And it's just not been good. It's when you see, like, Pittsburgh used to be what I used to call the convenience store, the NL Central. If you're not playing well, you drop into Pittsburgh, you win 3 out of 4, you pop a burrito into the microwave, and then you head out. It's not that way anymore because the Cardinals are having a terrible, terrible season. And you think about it, it's not just the losing. They've been losing to teams that aren't good in unflattering ways. I felt bad for Rom last night.
I know, dude.
I saw people, were kicking him around. His first ML start. I don't put a ton of stock in it. Plus, that first inning, which you maybe make or break for a guy in terms of confidence, had to pitch through some stuff. But otherwise, kind of a dismal night, and maybe Waino can pick it up. It's very hard because I've been doing this job a long time, and there's not been a long stretch like this where the games don't really matter that much. So I've been trying to keep my spirits up. I've been listening through the app to Hot Take Central and waiting for that bright spot for that Knizner promo, and I just never hear it.
He's got, again, we asked him about everything, man. He was, I asked him about Alonso. He's like, dude, we're all like, what in the hell are you doing? Like, what do you think about him? We didn't ask you about this, did we?
So, are you talking about if he threw away the first hit intentionally? No,
yes, you don't.
I'll say this as I think he's oblivious, and I'm not trying to be mean, because I don't think he's a bad guy. He's a perfect villain. I get that. I just think he's kind of a meathead. Like anything that happens, he's like, what, like he doesn't seem to be kind of in tune with what's going on. I don't think he threw that ball in the stands intentionally, but guess what? You should have known, right? You should have known that. The crowd went crazy when this kid was introduced. I bet everyone else on the field was aware of it. I get the fact that he kind of butchered the play and he was mad at himself, so he threw the ball in the stands, but he should have known better. But I don't think it was intentional.
So Pete Alonso is the kid who's standing out in right field, picking grass, picking his nose,
picking flowers,
and then hitting an 8,000-foot bomb later on the other side of it.
I think that's probably about right. He crushes baseballs. I mean, he crushes them. But I just don't think that he's the most engaged guy in terms of what's going on around him. Because he always has that same look, like, what do I do now?
The dumb look?
What?
Now, Kat, it's 3,000 degrees down here for the second day in a row.
God.
I saw that it's a brisk 80 in Pittsburgh. This might be the absolute best time to be in Pittsburgh as opposed to St. Louis ever in history.
I got to admit, though, look, this is a nice town. I have no issues with it, and the stadium's beautiful. But last night was hot, and I'm in the Camberwell, and I know it wasn't St. Louis as hot as it is now, but it was hot, and I was uncomfortable, and I was like, you know what? I'll bet I could sneak inside and just watch the game on the monitor for a little while because it was like really damp. Plus, those lantern flies are real. They play the clip of me during the game, but those things were on attack. And I thought at some point they might interfere with the game because there were so many of them. I don't know why they're here. I didn't ingratiate myself to the fan base because sometimes when I'm about to go on, I talk to the crowd, like before pregame. And I was asking the Pirates fans why these things were here, and no one knew. And I said, maybe they need to use soap. Maybe the people of Pittsburgh need to shower up a little bit.
Man, dude.
They got the joke. They weren't mad about it. But these things were like everywhere. And I thought someone's going to be under a fly ball and one of those things is going to hit them in the eye or something. Didn't happen. We'll see if today's better. But so far, not a pleasant experience in Pittsburgh. And again, I think this is a nice city and the ballpark's great. Generally, it's better than this. Plus, the Cardinals generally win in Pittsburgh. Not this year.
Yeah, man. No, Jimmy, it's nasty here, dude. The windows are all fogged up. Like, you can't even be outside, man. It's brutal. We're going to ask the kids, too, like, man, playing in 104 degrees with all that equipment on, like, I don't know how sometimes they do that, dude. But it's brutal here. Brutal. Hey, you weren't like, you didn't have to interview Drew Rahm's parents while he's getting lit up, were you?
So you didn't watch the game?
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Uh-oh.
Well, when they were down by 15, I turned it to something else on YouTube. You got me. You got me, Jimmy. You got me, Jimmy. You got me. You know.
Yeah, that interview had already taken place. So I've done these a lot over the years, and I've done them in a unfortunate stretch where the young players getting lit up or, something bad happened. So I decided I would do it while the Cardinals were batting. I think I did it, top of the second. So, first of all, they're there to watch their kid, not to talk to me. So I want to respect that. But, yeah, I did interview them. They came from Kentucky, the border right next to Ohio by Cincinnati. And they had like 40 people there. And they were excited for Rahm's debut. It didn't go great, but he's young. He's 23 years old. And his stuff didn't look that good. It's hard to tell. There was some choppiness in that first inning, and he couldn't land his breaking stuff, so the fastball didn't look good. But let's face it, they got plenty of spots the rest of the way this season, so we'll get another look at them at some point.
Kat, what are you seeing from our guy Mason Wynn here? Obviously, it's been a rough year, but for Cardinals fans, at least watching this guy for the next month and a half should be pretty exciting, you would think.
Yeah, you know what I like about him? He does everything fast. Like, he gives 110% effort on everything. Now, at some point, they'll probably need a little finesse out of that. But we're seeing what I think is a raw product that at some point will become a really, really good product. I don't know how you could watch him play and not say, boy, that looks different than what we've been seeing there. I mean, his arm is unbelievable. Had a bad throw. We're going to see some of that at some point, obviously, especially for a young guy. But he's really fast, and even when he doesn't make contact, he has a chance to beat it out. His attitude about it, too, has been great. Like, just talking to him and watching him, go through this. He has a level of maturity, which I think comes from his parents because I've talked to them. I just am very excited about what he can be. I don't know. I haven't read anyone who isn't, so I don't think that's breaking news that I'm excited. But he looks really, really good.
So, Adam Wainwright on the hump tonight. Woo-wee. When you look at, you make mention about what the history of the Cardinals have been in Pittsburgh, usually that's a good thing. When you look at the starts that are left for him, you've got Pittsburgh today, and then your next one should be at home against San Diego. For the chase for 200, I feel like tonight is one of the ones you got to have. You got to have it if you're going to, with the way things are lining up going down the rest of the stretch. How do you feel about that in the big picture, getting over the hump? And then Waino building on what he did last time out.
So I give Waino a lot of credit because I didn't think we'd see a start like we did last time, right? I didn't know that missing his bullpen would be that much of a game changer for him. By skipping the bullpen, he would have better stuff. It just didn't make sense to me that it would work that way. And again, it's one start, but he was very good. He did the things that he has been talking about, which is spotting his pitches and not falling behind in counts. And he went out and did it, so I give him all the credit in the world. Is it sustainable? Can he do it tonight? I don't know. I'm eager to see if he can. I hope he can. And you're right, Pittsburgh's not a great lineup, though they looked like murderers row last night. But the problem is when Waino hasn't been good, I mean, he's been lit up by teams that can't hit also. So it doesn't really matter who the opponent is. It matters what Waino's throwing, because when he's not good, everyone's going to hit him. If he was what he was in his last start, he's going to be really good, and hopefully he can pick up a W. One of the problems has been, too, is that nobody in this lineup's hitting. Goldie broke out of it the other day a little bit, but, I mean, they've been getting stymied by bullpen starts, by starters who you weren't expecting to do very well. So, I mean, this is what happens when a team is basically in it doesn't matter mode. I'm not saying they're not trying. I'm not saying that they're mailing it in, but that sort of creeps in, and I think we're seeing the results.
Well, the only thing that worries me about tonight is that you got a little bit of let's not say revenge factor with Oviedo on the mound, but it always gets weird when you see guys who used to play for you, who now you're going up against. I just hope that you don't end up having that weird, oh, this guy is familiar with us factor, and Oviedo has the big night instead.
Well, it's also Oviedo's a talented pitcher. He's a big guy who has good stuff, who just hadn't been able to put it together consistently. But let's be honest, compared to some of the guys who they haven't hit, his stuff is really good. It just depends what the Cardinals have that night. I'm with you. You know, like I worry that this guy will go out and go 7 scoreless or something. But we've seen the Cardinal offense kind of being too quiet for a pretty good stretch now, and it's very concerning.
Kat, I'm checking the schedule. I see that tomorrow you guys have a day game, and then you have an off day Thursday. I'm wondering what your travel schedule is, because I want to know if you'll be able to watch the Republican presidential primary debates, and if you're not able to catch it live, which political commentator are you going to go to get your information about what happened?
Oh, Don Lemon, of course.
Lemon.
Sorry.
Is he still on?
Yeah, he's somewhere.
Is he anywhere, though?
No, him and Tucker's podcast is coming soon. I promise.
They got ousted the same day.
Did they?
Yeah,
I believe they did.
I have no interest in watching this debate. Zero. I'm not going to watch it. Like, I like Tim Scott. I think DeSantis is probably a good candidate, though his campaign has been kind of disastrous. The rest of them, I really have no interest in. And the guy who I despise in the Republican primary more than anyone is Christie. Is Chris Christie, who's suddenly a tough guy who got eviscerated by Trump in one of the other debates. And again, I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat, when you're locking down people or shutting things down and you're on a beach with your family, to me, I can't go back to that. I can't. This country went through a terrible thing with the lockdowns. And to me, it's not even of a political nature. This country was shut down. This guy shut down beaches and then took his family there with little lawn chairs and a big smile on his face. Get out of here. I got no interest in watching him talk or hearing anything that he says, and I don't find the candidates particularly exciting. The numbers don't lie. It's all Trump. Whether he'll be incarcerated and won't be eligible, I don't know. That has to be worked out.
Well, don't worry about the people of Maui, because Biden's down there, Jimmy, and he gave this heartfelt speech about how he almost lost his cat in Corvette. So they're doing good down there. It's all good.
Let me say this. First off, Biden's told that story about the fire. It was a small kitchen fire. His house was never in jeopardy, nor lives were not in jeopardy. That's true. It's been debunked. I don't know why he would bring that story up. That's embarrassing. But any president in a situation where there's a natural disaster, to me, it's a no-win situation. Because if you go, you're showboating, or you're there too late. This goes for any president. Or if you stay out, it looks like you don't care. So I don't even his reaction to the disaster in Hawaii. I give him a pass on, except for telling that story, which has been debunked. You can look it up. It's his house. To bring that up and compare it to, I mean, they don't even know how many people they lost. It's a total different thing. It tells me that he's out of touch. But presidents going to areas of disaster, to me, always has been a no-win situation, in fairness.
I get you. I was curious. I knew that. I figured you'd find that little post and hear that little story. We played it a couple times on the show today. But anyway, Jimmy, go do your thing. Enjoy the weather. It's hotter than hell here. Stay out there as long as you can, at least till Saturday when it gets down to 80 again. But we miss you, and we'll talk soon.
Wait, I want to add one thing. I know
what do you got?
Tight before I go. So these lantern flies, I'm telling you, they're a real thing. Like, it seems, there's one or two. They're everywhere. Anyway, apparently the state health director, whoever, the wildlife, whatever, the czar of something or other, wants people in Pennsylvania to kill these things because they're an invasive species and they're overrunning Pennsylvania. So someone on our crew is going out and getting one of those, I guess they shoot pieces of rice, like these
Salt.
little insect guns.
Salt.
And we're gonna arm Miles Michaelis and hopefully get video as he tries to make Pennsylvania safe for the residents.
Yeah, I think it's salt. My cousin has a gun that he shoots flies with. But I'd rather just take that electrical tennis racket thing I have and smash them.
What, he's killing them by hypertension?
Yeah, but it's hard to
Like
aim
that.
and get those things. Yeah, it's really weird. It's like a salt gun. Very bizarre.
Yeah.
I'm loading up, Jimmy.
Keep that away from me.
Yeah, dude.
I don't need more of
It's
that.
a real gun. It's fine. All right, Jimmy, go do your thing, man. We'll be watching, buddy.
All right, boys. See you.
See you, dude.
See ya.
Jimmy the Cat Hayes live from Pittsburgh doing his thing. Crucial question for the Cat. Is Alexa Datt married? She was engaged and supposed to get married this past weekend, but lately hasn't been wearing her engagement ring and went on vacation last week. Settle a local cable journalism rumor. Sharon.
Cole will have that covered in the news break tomorrow.
Yeah.
Colt rabbit ears. Yoink. Yoink.
Wasn't she married to a
Peter Rosenberg.
yeah,
Berg.
Pete Rosenberg,
Yeah.
who's a kind of a big time radio guy in New York?
Oh, really? Yeah, I didn't know.
I think back in the day, I'm saying.
Oh.
I believe they're divorced.
Yes.
Oh, really? They got
Yes.
divorced.
He was talking about it on his podcast. You can get details, but
This is a while back, though.
yeah, some years back. It's all good. We all have different. We all got folks in our past.
I'm perfect.
Well-
Let's see here. Wayno was very good last start, question mark. Jim is delusional. Angry old guy. Yeah, he also didn't think that Alonso threw it in. Hell yeah, he did. Hell yeah, he did.
Can we get him on? Let's just figure it
Hell
out.
yeah. Oh, he's an idiot. No, he knew exactly what he was doing. And he's like, whoopsie. Get out of here.
I think this would be funny.
The kids is even like, no, dude, no. No, he did that.
He said he could hear the dugout getting at him.
What did Bernie say about Miles Michaelis?
We'll find out tomorrow.
Okay.
I'll cut up the audio
good.
and I'll have some.
Charlie
stuff tomorrow.
Marlowe.
Yes.
You are failing to realize Alonso is a real blockhead. You are giving Alonso too much credit for intelligence if you think he threw that ball out on purpose. They report the first base ump told Alonso they are talking balk out of play. So Alonso does what he always does in his malaise.
Mayonnaise.
Bernie said the same.
Almonds.
Dusty Lane. No, you're naive. He did it on purpose. Get on with yourself.
First of all, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but based on the fact that you're watching the dude get a standing O every time he comes
Come
up,
on.
you could hear it through the broadcast. All right, that's your one point. Here's the other point. When you're guilty, you do what Alonso did in the postgame.
Ding, ding, ding.
You give a 3-minute, you keep explaining yourself, you get him a gift because you feel bad. Look, I'm not saying this is the end of the world. He didn't kill anyone.
No.
But guess what? He did kind of a bully little thing. Hey, us and the Cardinals got a thing. They tackled me. I'm going to do kind of a little dick move here. Oh, now everybody's mad at me. I'm going to apologize. I'm going to buy the dude some tequila.
There you go.
It's not a big deal, but he did it on purpose.
Yes or no, Rammer? Did you do it on purpose?
Well, of course he did it on purpose.
Thank you.
Of course he did it on purpose, he says.
You lost your minds.
What did he say? We have lost our minds.
We-
But
of
specifically about what?
About Alonso, if we say otherwise.
Yeah.
But he is a blockhead. So
It's all good.
I will say, I'm just going to say 90%. I think he did it on purpose. I'm gonna leave the 10% because I do think he's just kind of like the big dumb ox. He's like the bully. He's O'Doyle. O'Doyle
Yes.
rules. That's who
Yeah.
he is. O'Doyle
Yeah.
rules. He just does something. he
kinda
doesn't
looks like
realize
him.
that the bus crashes. Or
If he had
whatever.
a red wig,
Is he?
he would. He looks like a Doyle.
He's the Biff Tanner of baseball.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right. Man, oh, man. Somebody's chirping Cole. Hold on. I got to read this real quick. Frankie and Rammer are coming up next. Let me read this. Hey, Cole.
Yo.
You ever run around the campus like slobbering idiot with a leather jacket like Rudy did in South Bend? Joke of a program. Let's go Wolverines. So they think that you're such a fanboy that you'll run around with like a fake leather jacket on at campus. And be
No.
like, I did. I'm
The
playing.
only Letterman jacket I wear is my own to
you
this
do that?
station one time.
Oh, he did wear it in one time.
Dublin Kaufman.
That's right.